So, this is the question that I've been hearing discussed a lot, or not necessarily a question, not necessarily even being discussed a lot, but this is a topic that I've heard discussed by people like Rucka and Puya quite a bit, quite at length. The whole topic of, should objectivists be on YouTube if they're not intellectuals? Should people like me, should people like Frog Machine, should people like Diego, should people like Kirk, should people like who else can I name drop? And yeah, all the people on online objectivism. Sorry if I forgot your name. I just don't want to go on for hours listing every single person's name. Just go look at my playlist for some people. But anyways, should these people be on YouTube? And I'm on YouTube, so should I be here? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing these streams? If I'm not Greg Salmieri, or if I'm not Don Watkins, if I'm not Alex Epstein, if I'm not a great intellectual, should I be trying to teach this philosophy or spread this philosophy to people? I feel like it is a really positive thing. I think trying to teach this philosophy to different people who are interested, it's a positive thing. But it seems like Rucka and Puya, from what I've listened to, they don't agree with it. They think that you should, which is interesting because they both have YouTube channels, so I'm not 100% sure what their position is from what I've heard. But they seem to be discouraging people from getting on YouTube. They seem to be telling people that they shouldn't be creating a channel, that they shouldn't be getting out there and discussing these ideas, which I take a lot of issue with. I think that having a YouTube channel can be really beneficial for both myself and for the objectivist movement as a whole. Even if I do make mistakes, even if I don't explain this philosophy in the best possible terms, even if I make mistakes explaining it, even if I say things wrong, my job fundamentally as a YouTube creator should be to spread this philosophy, get people interested, and then point back to my intellectual superiors, which, I think that is the proper way to go about these things. That's what every other movement does. Every other popular movement does this. You have people like Vosh, for example, pointing back to the intellectuals of leftism, like Marx, and I guess a more modern would be like Slavoj Žižek. And then you have people like Nick Fuentes. They can point to like Charles Murray and people like that. So all these sort of people, they are out there. They don't know fully what they're talking about. They don't fully understand the philosophy that they're explaining, but they have passion behind it. They're good at using rhetoric. They're good at explaining things in a way that can get people interested, in a way that can get the layman interested. Because a lot of times, people aren't interested by the intellectuals. The intellectuals aren't the people who go out there and spread the philosophies. It's people who are more in tune with the culture, who are more charismatic, who are more rhetorically effective, because intellectuals can be boring to a lot of people. To a lot of lay people, intellectuals get boring, and they come across as not super interesting, I guess. Not as funny, not as, all those sort of things. And I would disagree with that characterization, because I find Peikoff to be really funny, and I find him to be really entertaining and those sort of things. But a lot of people, you don't jump right into philosophy by reading long, thick textbooks and taking up all your time listening to people like Peikoff or Rand. Now you want to get them to that point at some point, but you want to start by just getting them interested and just having like a face that they can just have fun with, who's on their level, who they can sort of view as a peer almost. Who they can sort of view, who can get them into the philosophy. And as I've said before, I think that's one thing that Rucka did well. Even though Rucka isn't this great philosophical mind, he's smart, he can explain these ideas pretty well, but he's nowhere near Peikoff, he's nowhere near Rand, he's nowhere near Salmieri or Onkar or any of those people. But I don't see Onkar getting on here like doing live streams and being funny and being super entertaining to getting people interested and just hanging out with people. He's more like, he's going to give you a nice, good, deep intellectual speech that goes through really intense philosophical concepts, and gets you a lot smarter afterward. Our job, though, as YouTube people, is to get interest in a movement, is to get people to want to listen to people like Onkar, to want to listen to people like Peikoff. That is our job here. And then Pee Wee Niwi says, those with higher intellectual will always be found as arrogant by the insecure fools. That also makes sense. But the people who, I'm not too interested in finding the people who would view a intellectual as arrogant or like not want to listen to an intellectual because they're smart. Those sort of people disgust me. But I guess everyone has free will. Everyone has the ability to change. So that's sort of my job, is to get people more passionate about these, and seeing that finding these sort of people a lot more interesting, and finding them to be less arrogant and more just people who I want to learn something from. And that's sort of the job of the YouTuber. And also, there's this really other important aspect here as well, because as someone who is a very committed egoist, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't beneficial for me as well. Sure, there's obviously the benefit of the transmission into the cult of these ideas being transmitted into the culture, and the benefits that these ideas becoming dominant would have. Having those sort of benefits would be very beneficial to my life as well. But that's a more long-run thing, and I'm probably never going to see an objectivist society in my lifetime, which is sad to say, but we have to be real here. So what does this do for me, apart from trying to get more people interested in objectivism? It helps me become a better speaker, and that is something that is so invaluable, or so, I guess, invaluable or valuable in general. I don't remember if that invaluable is the right word that you can use there. But it's super valuable to me as well, because I'm not somebody who is super charismatic in person, or super talkative, I'm a very shy, introverted person, if you ever get to meet me. But this channel, being able to learning how to speak more clearly and speak more confidently, has had major positive impacts on my life. It's led me to being more confident in speaking in my own personal life as well, which is extremely beneficial. So the whole idea that an objectivist, just because they're not some intellectual, shouldn't create a YouTube channel seems really arrogant as well to me. There's this upper class of philosophers that are allowed to go express these ideas, but then the little man who is just learning this philosophy can't go and engage with these ideas in a way where they're trying to explain them to people and trying to encourage people as well. That just seems really, what's the word I'm looking for? Downplaying? No, really patronizing. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Really patronizing to the little man who's trying to learn this great philosophy. And I think there's a lot that I can do as well for the movement, if I'm trying to be some altruist who is just really devoted to sacrificing my life to this great movement of objectivism. Oh yes, let me devote my life to spreading these ideas to the world. Oh God. But if the good of the movement is what we're thinking about, then I think more objectivists being on YouTube is very positive as well. Going back to the last video that I did, or the last clip that I did, where I was talking about objectivists leaving YouTube, it seems to take away a lot of passion from the movement. It seems like there's not as much buzz going on when the YouTube videos aren't coming out. There's not as much, like the time when we had the objectivist blood sports on Diego's show. That was like the most crazy time in objectivism, most dramatic, the most epic moment of the online objectivist community. It was just, we all got to, and it was over nothing, but it was just, we had this great, strong community of this great, really passionate community. And that's amazing. That's what we need. That's what draws people in, having all these different faces of people who are all different, all appeal to different people, but they all are devoted to these ideas and discussing them. because that helps all people from all over the world, all different walks of life, feel included in this movement and feel like, and begin, as they become part of this movement, as they become part of this collective, they become a lot more passionate about spreading these ideas as well. So yeah, go create a YouTube channel. Go join the collective of us content creators. Sacrifice your individuality for the movement. Join the movement. Join us content creators. Make a YouTube channel. And I love you. Bye.